Okay, I just want to start by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start right at the beginning. How did you first discover wrestling?
Oof, take me back a long time. So my brother is actually about 9 years older than me. So like one of my oldest memories is watching Royal Rumble '99 with my brother on like the VHS
Mm,
that he had, like you used to like VHS like the TV.
mhm.
So he had that show recorded. And my earliest memory is it's mad because it says who I am as like a person really, but it's like known as the most brutal wrestling match in history, like for WWE, which is The Rock and Mankind.
Yeah, the I Quit match.
And yeah, when he's handcuffed and chair shot. So that's my first memory of watching wrestling
Wow.
for that. And obviously, like as you're a fan, you dip in and out here and there.
Mhm.
And it wasn't really until I finished my dance training in 2020 that I really got back into it. It's like it's kind of realistic to give it a go now. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how I got into wrestling. My brother is the thank for that, yeah,
Yeah.
all those years ago.
And then so you talked about getting into training. So after dance training, was that the first time you sort of did wrestling training properly?
Yeah, so the catalyst was Clash of the Castle,
Okay, yeah.
specifically seeing Edge walk out. I was like, oh, it's just unbelievable. Like, just the feeling of like hearing the music, hearing the people sing your music, walking out. It's like, I have to give it a go. I have to give it a go. So it was then I looked for a local wrestling school, and that's where I started. A
Mm,
couple of months later.
wow. So going back though to those first couple of training sessions, what was it like actually sort of stepping in the ring after so many years of observing the sport, I suppose?
Um, so I did a lot of research prior.
Hmm.
Um, so I had this kind of thing in my mind that, oh my God, it's gonna be so painful and like so brutal. But then I think because of the way I got into it, like being physical my whole life,
Hmm.
and going through 3 years professional dance training is like, God, this isn't quite. It's a lot easier than I imagined.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, like I got battered that first
Yeah.
first couple of weeks. Like you have like the raw burns and
Mm.
your calluses haven't built up, so you're feeling everything. You're bruised, but like never did I once think, "Oh my god, I can't do this."
Mm.
I felt so comfortable in a
Mm.
strange way.
Yeah, was that with New Wave or was that with a different wrestling company to start?
So I started more local at a place called All Style
Okay.
Wrestling Academy in Swansea. That's where I spent the first year. Really great place to learn
Hmm.
foundations and basics. Um, can't say enough good
Yeah.
things about those guys, but I realized if I wanted to take the step up, I needed to come to New Wave
Mm.
just for the network
Yeah.
and just learn off the people who have been in and around the top of the industry. So
Yeah.
made the
Totally.
jump there and haven't looked back really.
Yeah. So I know you kind of hinted at it, but where did the character of this sort of the dancer come from?
So it came about. My first match at New Wave was in May, and I wrestled Danny Jones.
Hmm.
And match got great reviews, but the main feedback was your performance was great, but you were just kind of another wrestler, and we've got a
Hmm.
lot of wrestlers. I think you got a lot more to offer in your personality, in your creativity. So
Hmm.
maybe try and find a way to weave a kind of dance background into your work.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, how is that going to work? And then Wild Ball, who's one of my main
Mhm.
coaches, kind of noticed that when I was moving around the ring, I kind of like had my like shoulders like drooping and like my head like looking through my eyes,
Hmm.
my eyebrows. And he's like, it reminds me of Randy Orton. Go and watch a little bit of Randy Orton when he was doing all that kind of stuff. So I took a bit from Randy Orton. And then he suggested this fighting video game character from Soul Calibur called
Hmm.
Voldo. And
Okay.
he's like this blind guy, very like leather strappy, and all his attacks are kind of creepy and weird with the legs and stuff. The way
Mhm.
he moves around. I said, go look at that. So I implemented a bit of that. And then I took aspects of stuff from like Black Swan
Mhm.
and Clockwork Orange and kind of begin to merge all these things, like what I enjoy and
Mm.
using the way I look when I'm performing to like kind of form this
Mm.
kind of obscure thing, I guess. It's still really early days. It's
Mm.
still so early days. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
where it goes.
And then, so the entrance music, the Tango de Roxanne, was that was that came apart as a part of the dancer gimmick? Was that something a song you appreciated before? How did that get introduced?
So it's a song I heard a long time ago, before I started my professional training. I was still at college,
Mm.
and they choreographed that song to us, and we did like a routine on
Yeah.
to that song, and that's always stuck with me. That song because it's got so much layers to it, like the
Yeah.
way it sounds, like the contrast of the voices, and just like the intensity of
Yeah.
the instrumental. It's like wow, this is a hard song.
Mm.
So then when I was coming up with this character, one of my friends actually sent it to me. I said, "This would be really cool to walk out
Mm.
to." I was like, "Oh, how didn't I think of this?
Yeah.
It's actually perfect for what I want to portray. Just that kind of broken mentally
Mm.
performer, you know?
Yeah.
I think it fits really nicely with the way what I want to
Mm.
portray." So
And like you talked about all those like different aspects coming together, one of the sort of the signature weapons, I suppose, is that ballet point shoe.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I had to explain to the person next to me why that would be a painful weapon. Um, but obviously that's another aspect to the character that you've now got a sort of signature
Yeah.
thing to come with you, which is, adds even more to that sort of twisted character that you've come up with, which is amazing. So obviously, how does obviously wrestling's such a complex, and I know we talked about choreography before, but building a match, what does that kind of look like before an event?
So it really depends on type of match
Hmm.
you're in on the card, type of opponent you have.
Yeah.
A perfect example is I think it was my third match ever. I wrestled this British legend called James Mason,
Hmm.
and he won't plan
Wow.
any of the match other than the end. Like he'll tell
Yeah.
you what he wants to do for the end. So like going in third match, like oh my gosh, I literally got to do this all on the fly.
Mm.
Got to improvise the whole thing, and it went very good. Couldn't have faulted that. And then the flip side, the match that you saw
Hmm.
last Friday was very meticulous. Like, okay, now this is your bit, this is your bit, this is your bit.
Yeah.
Make sure it all intertwines. So it can really vary depending on what kind of match the
Mm.
promoter wants. Maybe the match that you want to do that night, or again who you're against.
Mm. So like I know you mentioned the match on Friday, but that was it's a scramble. So there were six of you
Uh,
yeah,
yes,
at one point. That must have been so complex to kind of jigsaw everyone's bits together, every part, on top of characters, on top of, the endings and stuff. That must have been really complicated to put together.
yeah, we were very lucky that we had Elijah in the match with us, who's so experienced in those kind of matches.
Mm.
So we really looked to him to kind of piece things together, piece all our bits, what would fit best where.
Mm.
And I think it flowed really well, thanks to Elijah, to his credit. So I can't
Mm.
thank him enough for that because we had a really enjoyable match for all of us.
And obviously, sadly you did take the loss in that match. After taking the Leon Cage's incredible double stomp thing,
Oh yeah.
which is, as I said in the review, is always incredible to watch and like, yeah. But so what's next for you? What's your plans for the future? Where do you see yourself going?
Um, I'll talk in wrestling and I'll talk out of wrestling too.
Okay.
So um, next wrestling for me is New Wave. I think we're back in the church
Hmm.
on October 18.
Yes, I believe so.
Um, Yeah, so we got a lot of shows back at the church and also the Corn Exchange in Newport, just kind of where New Wave is bouncing between at the minute.
Hmm.
I've also got some shows with South Wales Pro Wrestling coming up and Attack Pro Wrestling. So very much get into the thick of the Cardiff and Welsh scene, which is kind of was my goal for this year.
Hmm.
But it's only been my first full year as a wrestler, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of hitting these goals that I want to hit quite rapidly. So I'm thankful for that. And then outside of wrestling, my dance company are doing Resolution Festival, which is a new choreographers festival in contemporary dance
Hmm.
in the place in London, and our piece got accepted, so we're performing
Well,
that in January too.
well, amazing. They're two very different worlds, though, dance and wrestling. Like they
You you
must be.
you'd think that, but they are so similar. You know, the training, the
Hmm.
choreography, the costume, the light. You know, it is very much on the same spectrum.
Hmm.
You know,
Do you think
of
that's
both
kind of
ends.
helped you, as you said, your career is going really rapid at the moment? Do you think that
Yeah,
backing is what's helping that?
I think if I hadn't have come in with all that training and knowledge, I don't think I'd be as
Hmm.
well off as I am now.
Wow. So
100%.
where can people stay up to date with you with all these, these events that are going on?
So the best place to see what's going on is my Instagram, which is Tommy Vrill. For my dance stuff, it is the Vrill Project. So that's where I took the name from for my
Ah,
wrestling name. Yeah, everything will be updated there. I think that's the main hub right now.
yeah, no problem. So I am coming to the end of my questions, but what advice do you have for people to get into either wrestling or dance?
Be open minded.
Hmm.
Um, Try and enjoy yourself, but also keep your integrity, be open minded, and just try everything.
Hmm.
Because if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be a contemporary dancer and a pro wrestler at my age, I would have said, you have to be joking because there's no way. So it would just be try everything
Mm,
because you don't know what opportunities it could lead to.
amazing. So I'll end the same way I start, just by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat. Obviously as you've seen in the review, I thoroughly enjoyed your performance, and the sort of the character that you're implementing is really exciting and engaging. So yeah, really enjoyed that. So thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
and I'll speak
much.
to you soon.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.